Okay, hello and welcome to Stats 10. This is Introductory Statistics. Okay, and I'm really every time we have a new quarter, I get really excited because I love teaching this class. I love meeting new students, and I think, well, I don't know. I know I'll have fun, and I hope you guys have fun too. So, intro stats. If you'll allow me to just be cheesy for a minute, or or maybe more than a minute. I love teaching statistics. Okay, when I took introductory statistics as an undergraduate student many years ago, it literally changed my life. I know you guys laugh, but I was an engineering major. I finished my engineering degree in industrial engineering at a small engineering school, and but I had to take a few statistics courses. I fell in love with the subject, and then so after finishing my degree, I worked for a couple years, decided I want to come back to school, and because of those intro stats classes that I took, I decided to pursue a graduate degree in statistics, and so I earned my PhD in statistics here at UCLA, and now I have my dream job of teaching statistics to UCLA students, and so so I'm really happy. Okay, and so so anyway, we're gonna cover stuff. I guess I'll tell you a little bit why I love statistics, but that'll come later. I think it's an excellent major. If any of you haven't decided your major, and if you're thinking of anything involving math or computers or anything like that, consider statistics. Okay, it's a high in-demand subject major, and if maybe you'll like it. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about our syllabus here, okay? And we'll go over this, and then we'll get started on lecture content. I had to. Some of you are watching this. You are in my 9 a.m. course, and I unfortunately had to cancel a class this morning. I know it's like the first day of school, and I had to cancel it, and so I apologize. But thank you for watching this video online. So if you can't tell, I'm recording my screen here, and I will post today's lecture and video online, and I will also post the notes that I write online. And so that's for you guys. That's for your benefit. It's not intended so you can just skip class and watch the video. But it's intended so you can review any of the material if you need to, or if anything was unclear, you can watch it again. The notes I post online. That's because I understand students have different learning styles. Some students will learn best if they take notes as the class goes on, and so if that's you, please do that. Others of you learn best if you don't take notes and you just sit back and you pay attention and you can focus on what I'm talking about. If that's you, that's fine, and you don't have to worry about missing anything I've written on the board because it will all appear online. Okay. Anyway, so here's our syllabus. That's me, Miles Chen. That's my email. Make sure you write Stats 10 and your section. This is lecture 4, so all your sections will be like 4A, B, C, or D. Somewhere in your email, just because I teach a bunch of statistics classes, and so if you don't tell me which class you're in, I don't really have a context for the email that you're sending me. Okay. My office is on the 8th floor of this building. I know this building's a little bit complicated, but through this door there's some elevators. Take these elevators up to the 8th floor, and then you keep walking down that way, and then you'll see 8105 on the left, and then if you enter, my office is in the corner, 8105 J. All right. Everything will be posted on CCLE. All right, based on some student feedback and just some thinking, I've changed some of the weights for the assignments in the course. So if you're comparing to an old syllabus, they are a little bit different, okay? So, I hope nobody's angry about this. You'll have 4 quizzes and 2 midterms and a final exam, okay? Each of your quizzes are going to be worth 6% each of your grade, and they take place during weeks 3, 5, 6, and 9, okay? So make sure you have to attend your designated section for those things. If you know you're going to be unable to attend your designated section or whatever, because it takes place in section, get in touch with your TA and schedule another time to take your quiz with your TA, okay? So as far as the quizzes go, it's between you and your TA as far as, scheduling something, okay? The midterms, we've got 2 midterms, and they are worth 12% each, okay? They used to be worth more, but, I personally am not a huge fan of super high stakes testing. I know some courses you have like 1 midterm, 1 final, and the midterm's worth 50% and the final's worth 50%, or something along those nature. I'm not a huge fan of that. So the midterms are only worth 12% of your grade, and that's because it's one course session. You got 45 minutes to take it. So that's what we have, and that will be week 4 Friday and week 7 Friday. Okay, so mark those days on your calendar. And then the final exam, that's a longer one. That's 3 hours. That's going to be at the very end of the quarter during the scheduled final exam time as scheduled by the registrar. Okay. We also have a few lab assignments, 4 of them, 3% each. Your TA handles everything related to the lab, so if you have issues with your lab, get in touch with your TA. Okay. I've got homework, 5% homework. You see homework in quotes, and that's because I assign homework, but I will not actually collect the homework. All right, and so we're just kind of, and at the end of the quarter, I'm going to give everybody 100% for their homework grade, all right? And so this is kind of based on the assumption that you are doing your homework. I understand that because I'm not checking, you might not do any of your homework, and that is entirely your decision. You are adults, you can decide how to spend your time. If you want to do well in the course, I strongly recommend that you do your homework. It's really, the homework is here as a opportunity to kind of test out your knowledge and your understanding. If you feel like you understand everything and that you don't need homework, that's up to you. Okay, we've got we'll use iClickers. Okay, that's going to start next week during week 2. It's people ask questions, which kind of iClicker do I need? You just need a physical remote, okay? Whether some of them are the old version where they don't have a screen, and then some of them are the new version where they have a screen. Both of those work with the base. If you get it from the bookstore, it comes bundled with this Reef mobile something. You don't need that, okay? You don't need the online part, and I cannot integrate the Reef thing anyway, okay? So if you just got like the Reef mobile polling, you have to get a physical remote. I'll put instructions on CCLE about registering your remote, okay? If you buy a remote used from someone else, totally fine. There's even a place on campus that lends out clicker remotes, but they have a limited supply, so they might not have enough for everybody. But if you get a used remote, that's totally fine. You have to register it so it's associated with your student account, okay? You want to register it on CCLE. CCLE has their own customized version of the iClicker software that allows you to change the student registration of the remote for free. If you go to the iClicker website and say, I want to register it under my name, they're going to try to charge you $25 for registering your remote, okay, which is nonsense, okay? So use CCLE, it's free. I'll put instructions up there, okay? And we'll start using them second week, so you have a week to try to get a hold of a remote, okay? And all of those attendance and participation points add up to 4% of your grade, okay? And so here, I guess I'll talk about those policies a little bit later. This is the textbook that we're using, Introductory Statistics. It's the second edition. Students sometimes ask, can I use the first edition? And the answer is technically yes, but all of your homework problems might be numbered incorrectly, okay? I've tried to come up with comparable homework. So first I created homework problems based on the second edition, and then I looked at the first edition and tried to create comparable homework assignments for the first edition as well. Some of the chapters, they changed the problems significantly, and I was unable to make comparable homework assignments. As far as the content goes, most of the content between the first and second edition has not really changed, but the homework problems have changed, and so, you know, that might be a problem. But then again, I'm not collecting the homework, so, you know, you gotta figure this out. Again, if you try to buy this through the bookstore, they only sell one version, and that's because it comes from the publisher, and it's like bundled with MyStatLab and some electronic codes, and they sell it for like $200, okay? You don't need the MyStatLab, okay? You can go on Amazon and you can rent just the text for the quarter, and it's like, I don't know what it is now, but I checked last week and it was like 20 bucks for the quarter, okay? Maybe, you know, Amazon has dynamic pricing, so maybe like if everyone goes to Amazon right now, maybe it'll say like $40, but $40 is way better than $200, okay? And so, you know, Amazon, Chegg, I don't know, all sorts of things. I'm sure like you probably know someone who might have had a textbook, and you can get one, okay, for that, okay? And then course evaluation. So at the very end of the quarter, you know, during 9th week, you get your invitation to evaluate your instructors. So you'll get 1 percentage point for course evaluation, and that's that. Okay, I don't actually get to see. I don't know who wrote what. It's completely anonymous, but you just import. For me, I just import. You know, it says this person participated in the evaluation, and that's 1%. Okay, any questions about this? Yeah.
For the quizzes, are they in the first discussion section?
So okay, you have 2 discussions. One is discussion and one is lab. Okay, so the quizzes happen during discussion. Okay, labs happen during lab. Okay, so this class, I think, I don't remember what's what. Tuesday is one of them and Thursday is the other, okay? We'll figure it out. You need a calculator, okay? If you have a graphing calculator, that is more than enough calculator. You don't need to get a new calculator. But if you don't have a graphing or scientific calculator, I strongly encourage that you get a scientific calculator, okay? You can pick one up for around $17 on Amazon. It's much better than using just a 4-function calculator, okay? I can't let you use your phones during tests and exams, so you just need to have some kind of calculator, all right? Quizzes, all right, we already talked about this. This is the makeup policy, okay? If you miss something because of something, we need to have documentation in order to give you a makeup, all right? If you just say, if you say I was sick, we need to get a doctor's note, all right? It's unfortunate, but we can't just take students at their word and say, okay, I believe you. So you need to have some kind of documentation. You know, if you're going through, you know, some emotional turmoil or traumatic events, you will also need documentation of that. So you know, in those cases, you might need to see the CAPS office or counseling or something like that, and they can provide you know, a note from a counselor. Okay, if it's something that's not necessarily a physical ailment, but something that you know, is taking a mental toll on you, you know, I encourage you. Sometimes that happens, and so your health, your physical health, and your mental health are very important. And so, you know, take care of yourselves, and but yeah, you know, if it causes you to miss a exam or a quiz, you know, we need documentation to allow for makeup. All right, lab assignments, those are all handled by your TA. This is the late policy regarding lab assignments. You'll upload them onto CCLE and things like that. Okay, as far as iClickers go, starting the second week we'll use them, and then I'll drop the 2 lowest iClicker scores, so that means you can miss class twice, and it won't hurt your grade at all. The way the iClicker points work is, you know, I might ask 3 questions during a lecture, and each question is worth 1 point, and you also get 1 attendance point just for clicking the remote at some point during the lecture. Okay, so if you get all 3 questions wrong, but you click the button, then you'll get at least 1 point for attendance. Okay, and then if you get all 3 of them right, you'll get 4 out of 4 points. Okay, all of the iClickers total add up to like 4% of your grade, and you know, you figure we're gonna have probably like 25 sessions-ish, somewhere between 20 and 24 sessions. Okay, and so each of these are worth like a fraction of a percentage point. Okay, so don't get too upset if you lose a few points during the iClicker sessions. Okay, a lot of times your iClicker portion of the grade is going to be like your lowest score on the grade book. Okay, because as the course goes on, I'll put tricky questions in iClicker questions, and that's so you're exposed to them. And so then when you see the same tricky question or a very similar tricky question on the exam, you know, it doesn't catch you off guard, right? So I'll put your first exposure to the tricky questions in iClickers. And so don't be surprised if, you know, you're getting like 95% everything else, and then your iClicker grade's like a 65%. Okay, some people get, you know, they don't like to see 65% in the grade book, and so it's okay. It's just 4%, and it's intended to be tricky and hard, those questions. So that's intentional by design. So there we have that. Okay, academic integrity. Your integrity is important, guys. It's more important than getting good grades. It really is. So everybody wants to pass. You know, some of you guys are seniors and this is your last quarter here, and so it's like really important that you pass. But it's not worth sacrificing your integrity for. Okay, you want to be proud of the journey that you took to get to where you got, and you don't want to say, you know, I was not honest the whole way. You might get away with it. You might not. Okay, and then here's like a list of all the topics we'll cover. Okay. All right. Any questions? No. All right. Well, we'll get started then. I'm going to put yeah. Yeah, bring your calculator to lecture, because I'll have iClicker questions that will often involve calculations, and so you'll need your calculator for those questions. Do you need to bring your textbook? Probably not. Okay. Some of you like to have the textbook in front of you so it has some context, as you know, when you're following along in the lecture. But the textbook, that's not as critical. Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look here. Stats 10, Intro Stats. I love this class. All right. And so you know, first I'm going to just kind of talk about, you know, why we even bother with this class, right? So why do we study statistics? Okay. And maybe at this point, I'll just take a moment to ask those of you in the back, are you guys able to see everything on the board okay? Everything's good? Everybody can hear me okay? All right, great. All right, why do we study statistics? Why are you guys taking this course? Other than the university says it's a GE requirement, or maybe it's a prerequisite for some of your courses. There's a question, well, why would we even make this a required course? Okay, well, I argue that we study statistics to gain a better understanding of the world around us. Okay? But to be honest and to be fair, this thing could be said about a lot of subjects, right? You study history. Why do we study history? Well, it's to gain a better understanding of the world around us by understanding the past, right? Why do we study sociology? To gain a better understanding of the world around us. So in particular, statistics allows us to make conclusions from limited data. Okay, so specifically, all right, and so, if you go into any field of science, okay, so anything that has an ology after it, you're going to have research questions, okay? So any field of science, okay? Science, we make progress in science by asking research questions, okay? In science, okay? So a research question, this is a question that can be answered with research, as opposed to a philosophical question where you're not going to go out and do a study, but you think about the meaning and the logic of the question that you've asked. But here we're asking research questions, which we will try to answer by doing some kind of experiment or some kind of study. Okay, so every research question has a relevant population, okay? And so whenever you ask a question, the population is everyone or everything that's relevant to answering the question, okay? So the population is everyone and everything. Okay. And so, let's say you were a drug manufacturer, okay? And maybe you would never want to be a drug manufacturer, but let's say you were working for one, okay? So you are working for a drug manufacturer, let's pretend. And we ask a question, you develop a drug and you say, is this drug effective at fighting lung cancer? Okay, here's your question. Is this drug that we are developing effective at fighting lung cancer? Okay, and so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to do some kind of experiment where we would administer the drug to people with lung cancer, right? We do some kind of experimental trial, and we give the drug to people with lung cancer. And we are hoping that by doing this experiment and this trial, we can get an idea of, is this drug effective at fighting lung cancer? This is our research question. All right, and so just before I said, every research question has a relevant population. So in this case, who is our population? What is our population? Is it the people in our study? Is that our population? No? Okay, what is our population? People with lung cancer. It's everyone. Everyone relevant to answering the question. It would be, the population is everyone with lung cancer. Okay? In this case, it is okay, because what we're saying is that the population is everyone relevant to answering the question. And so in our case, to answer a question, we want to know, is this effective at fighting lung cancer? Our population is everyone with lung cancer. And the problem is that this population is too big for us to actually do an experiment with everyone in the population. We won't be able to track down everyone with lung cancer, and we won't be able to give the drug to everyone with lung cancer, okay? And so this is the reason why statistics exists, and it is that, the population is too big for us to study directly. Okay, so in our example, we cannot give the drug to everyone. Oops, we cannot give the drug to everyone. Because first of all, we don't know everybody who has lung cancer. Second, there's too many people. And third, not everybody wants to take this experimental drug. So, it's not possible to do this. And so what we do with statistics is, instead of studying the population, which is too big, we study a sample. So with statistics, instead of studying the population, we study a sample, okay? And so a sample is a group selected population. Ideally, the sample is representative of the population, okay? Okay, and then based on what we see in the sample, we then make conclusions about the population. Okay, so just kind of schematically, here this blob represents our population. This is everybody, and it's too big. And there's too many people. Too many people for a direct study. So what we do is we just take a tiny little piece, okay? A tiny little piece. This is our sample. We magnify our sample. This is, we observe the sample. Okay. And based on what we see in the sample, we draw conclusions about the population. All right, and so that process of drawing conclusions about the population based on the sample, that process is known as statistical inference. So the conclusions made, this is part of statistical inference. We are inferring things about the population based on what we see in the sample. Okay, so we are making inferences based on the sample, and we're using statistical theory. So that's statistical inference. Okay, and so if we want our conclusions about the population to be valid, okay, if we're looking at the sample and we want our conclusions about the population to be valid, our sample needs to be representative of the population. And if the sample is not representative, then we say it is a biased sample, and the conclusions will not be valid. Okay, so if our sample is not representative, it is biased. Okay, and our conclusions will not be valid. And so, we see examples of this during election season, okay? And so during the elections, so let's say we're talking about election for the President of the United States, okay? In that case, what is the population that we're interested in? The population is everybody who votes on election day. That is the population that we're interested in, because that is the group of people that are going to determine who becomes president, okay? And so the population of interest is people who vote on election day, okay? Before that, a lot of people do polls, and they ask questions, and they try to get an idea of who's going to win. So they ask a bunch of polls, and they are not asking everybody who votes. They don't know that. So, but they're trying to get an idea. And so, maybe they survey 800 people, and they say, who are you going to vote for? And out of the 800 people, this many people say I'm going to vote for this person. This many people say I'm going to vote for this person. Other people say I'm undecided. And based on that, they try to make conclusions about what's going to happen on election day. All right. So effectively, what they're doing is they are looking at a sample, maybe 800 people who they think are going to vote. They're hoping the sample represents the population. And based on the sample, they try to make conclusions. And so, they go to Florida and they say, who are you going to vote for? Based on that, they say, okay, we think Florida is going to go this way. All right. But if that sample is not representative, then the conclusions that you make may not be valid. And there are all sorts of reasons why it may or may not be representative. And it's actually a complicated thing getting a representative sample. Okay, and so I'll just write that. I'll say it's very difficult in real life. In our class, we will kind of assume that a lot of our samples are representative or they've been obtained a certain way, but the truth is that it's hard to do such a thing. Okay, so we have one method that should give us a representative sample. It's not guaranteed to do so, but one method that should give a representative sample is called simple random sampling. Okay, but I'll say not guaranteed to give a representative sample. Okay, and so what simple random sampling does is, well, I'll abbreviate simple random sampling as SRS. SRS begins with a sampling frame. So a sampling frame is a list of everyone in the population. I'll say the sampling frame should be a list of everyone in the population. But it's actually really hard to get an accurate sampling frame, okay? Very difficult to get this. Because if I said, I want a sampling frame of everybody in Los Angeles County, can you do that? How would you get a list of everybody in Los Angeles County? How would you even start? Well, let's say you had access to government databases and stuff. Okay, let's just say this: you were a government employee, you had access to everything. How are you going to get a list of everyone in Los Angeles County? What can you do? Census data. Okay, census data. That's a good starting point. But the last census was taken in 2010. Okay, so 7 years have passed since 2010, and I think a lot of people have moved into LA County. A lot of people have moved out. Probably many of you in 2010 did not live in LA County. Okay, so that would not be. So there would be some shortfalls there. Okay. Perhaps you can go to the DMV and get a list of everybody, but not everybody's address is current, and not everybody has a driver's license, right? There are a lot of people who don't have permanent addresses. They are in Los Angeles County, but they don't have any address, or they're, quote, off the grid, it's going to be hard to track these people. It's really hard to do, okay? I would say probably your best bet would, if you could obtain this, right? If you were some super agent that could get all of this information, maybe you could look at cell phones that ping a cell phone tower located within Los Angeles County. But that's only going to get people who have cell phones, which is most everybody, but not everybody has a cell phone either. But that's probably, but okay, so anyway, you start with a sampling frame. It's really difficult to actually have this unless you're like a single institution, like a company, and you have a list of everybody on your payroll. That could work. Okay, and then what we do is, use a random system to select individuals one at a time. And that's it, okay? And the properties, one at a time from the sampling frame, I should say. And the properties will be that everyone has an equal chance of being selected. And every possible sample has an equal chance of being selected. Every possible sample has an equal chance of being selected. You can think of kind of a lotto ticket, all right? There are 6, I don't know, let's say you draw 6 numbers for a lotto ticket. Every possible combination of 6 numbers has an equal chance of being selected. So, the ticket 21, 32, 45, 57, and 61 has an equal chance of being selected as, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 has an equal chance of being selected as 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, something like that, okay? Every possible combination of numbers on a lotto ticket has an equal chance of being selected. Every possible combination of people for your simple random sample has an equal chance of being selected. Okay, with my last minute of the lecture, I'm going to just give an overview of where we are headed in the course, okay? So first, the first few weeks, we'll cover descriptive statistics. Okay, descriptive statistics, this covers chapters 1 through 4, and we just learn how to describe our data, okay? This is going to get us through midterm 1. We'll cover descriptive statistics. Okay, after, sounds like, I think my mic just died. After midterm 1, we will start our section on probability. Okay, and then, so probability tells us, how likely or unlikely events are, and based on that, we learn probability distributions and sampling distributions. Okay, and that will take us through midterm 2. So midterm 2 will cover all of this stuff: probability distributions, and sampling distributions. Okay, and then in the kind of the final section of our course, we will take what we learned about descriptive statistics and what we've learned about probability and these distributions, and we will do statistical inference. In my opinion, statistical inference is kind of the big idea, is the point of taking this course is so that we can do statistical inference. And so, this is all about making conclusions from limited data. But before we can get to this part of statistical inference, which is, for me, the exciting part, we have to build up our understanding of descriptive statistics and probability first to give us a foundation. And once we get there, then we can do the exciting stuff. So this will start, around week 7-ish, okay? So I'm looking forward to a great quarter with you guys. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Have a great day.